Hi, I'm Bob Piorun, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about AABA form. Again, I like to teach my students the way things tend to work in music, and you have to remember, first of all, music can do anything you want it to do. You could write a song and you can make the chords go all over the place. You could make as many bars of a song as you want. You could make a song with one chord. But what I like to do is show people the tendencies of music, what tends to happen, and then it's easier to see the variables once you understand the things that happen most often. AABA form is just a way a lot of songs were written, especially probably from the 20s into the 60s. Even the Beatles employed AABA form. They may not have called it that or understood it, but they were actually doing it. And my students ask me why so many songs are written this way, and it's simple. It just works well. I'm going to take a song everybody knows to illustrate that. I'm going to use the song Over the Rainbow. Its first part we're going to call section A. Now, if you know the song, you know that what's going to happen next, the same notes will happen again, and the same chords. The only thing that changes with the second verse on most songs is the words. So now it's going to be done again. We're going to call that the second A section. Now, after those two A's, now we've heard the melody enough that we're acquainted with it and we like it or we don't like it. Now we're ready for something different. That's where the bridge comes in. And we call that section B. So we had A, here's our B section. Now you know what's coming next. Back to the A section. So that's what we call AABA form. Now the reason that's important, it shows us that music is usually pretty well organized in a lot of ways. It'll help you understand the song better. It'll help you if you want to write a song. It'll help you memorize a song. It's a really good thing to know. It'll give you a lot of clues into how music works. Now over here on this board, what I have here is, I like to use this standard by Hank Williams, Your Cheatin' Heart. I like to use it because in a way it's the perfect song in a lot of ways. Now I don't think Hank Williams was musically educated. Obviously he was a musical genius in his genre. But I'm not even sure he had just a basic education other than music. But anyways, he was hearing music around him, and I'm sure he absorbed it. He was most popular in the late 40s and early 50s before he died. I think he died around 50. But anyways, this is the chords to his song, Your Cheatin' Heart. And you might explore his version of it. As a matter of fact, he does it in C. He had an interesting thing. He does have an intro, and he more often than not, started with the 5 chord of a key. So I believe he did G7, C, and then he would start the song. But here you can see the chords to Your Cheatin' Heart. It's perfectly symmetrical in many ways. That's showing us the A section. This is the A section. It's 8 bars long, 2 measures of C, 2 of F, 2 of G7, 2 of C again. And then that repeats. So the second A section is exactly the same thing. Same melody. The melody ends a little different on the second time, but it's the same melody. Then the bridge, which is totally different, and I'll talk about this. This is the most common bridge in music history, you could say. If you analyze thousands of songs, especially country songs, you would see this bridge come up constantly. And then back to the A section. So the great thing about Your Cheatin' Heart by Hank Williams is a perfect example of, in a way to understand AABA form. I'll play this in a country manner since it is a country tune. Everything is nice, nice 2 bars, 2 of C, 2 of F, 2 of G7, and 2 of C. Now it's all going to start again. 2 of C, 2 of F, 2 of G7, and back to C. Then it's got a different part, what we call the bridge, the B section. And again, the most common bridge in music history. Here's a good thing to get in your mind, that more songs start on the 4 chord for the bridge than any others. That's a great practical piece of knowledge. Let's say you're jamming with some people and they're playing some basic songs, and you know something different is coming to bridge. You'd be better off going for the 4 chord than any others, because more songs start on the 4 chord than any others. So we're at the bridge, F to C, D7, and back to G7. And then the last A section, which is the same as the first A section, and C. So anyways, usually this AABA framework ends up as being 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars, which equals a nice symmetrical 32 bars. And if you analyze music, as I said, approximately from the 20s into the 60s, and even today, you're going to see AABA happen more than anything else other than probably the 12-bar blues, which comes about quite often. The 12-bar blues, which we'll talk about in the future lesson, accounts for millions of songs, and is probably the most used American chord progression there is. Well, right now we're talking about AABA. Now, why even understand this? Well, in a lot of ways, it'll help you understand how songs work. It'll give you some ideas for writing your own songs. It'll help you memorize a song. A lot of people see they see a piece of sheet music or the words written over the chords in an amateur way, and they don't see the symmetry of the song, how it's 8, 8, 8, 8, A, A, B, A. And if you see that, it gives you a greater understanding of the song and how to memorize it and so on. Again, and we'll get into the 3 main chords in the key in another lesson, but you should understand that in every key there's 3 main chords. In the key of C, they are C, F, and G7. Now, you might think of them as a family, mom, dad, and big brother. Or C could be mom, and F is big brother, and G7 is dad. However, a family of 3 things. Now, when we get down to the bridge, we start on the 4 chord, go back to the 1 chord, and then we have what's called the 5 of the 5. Now, the 5 of the 5 is the 5 chord of the 5 chord. What that means is in the key of C, the strongest chord, of course, is C. The next strongest chord is its 5 chord, G7, because G7 wants to lead back to C. Well, G7 could have a 5 chord, and it's D7. D7 is actually not in the key of C, and as I said, if you think of this as a family, we might think of this as an uncle. Here's mom, and here's big brother, and here's mom, and here's dad, but this chord is not right from the key of C. It's called the 5 of the 5, and it actually, using that analogy, this would be like dad's brother. He's not in the immediate family, but he's part of the family in the next generation, on the next level. So here's the chords to your cheating heart. You might sometimes see a few other things. They'll often put a C7 in here to lead to F and so on, but this is the basic framework to the song Your Cheating Heart. Another great thing about seeing it this way would help you transpose it. Let's say you want to sing the song and C was too high for you. You might want to bring it down to A, let's say. Well, you would go down and find the 3 main chords in A, which are A, D, and E. And this would still be the 1 chord, and this would be the 4 chord. So it would be A, D, E7, A. A, D, E7A. Then it would be D, A, B7. That'd be the 5 of the 5, E7, and then back to A, D, E7A. So this understanding of how people tended to write this way, my students often ask me, well, why did people keep doing this? Well, it just works well. Like I said, even the Beatles, you could check out Yesterday. There's a few anomalies in that. It is AABA, but I think their A section is 7 bars long. But again, it's an AABA song. Now, again, understanding this will give us a way when, let's say you have a band or you're rehearsing with some friends to do some music. Now we have a good way of referring to how to make an arrangement out of a song. For example, here's what, if I'm not mistaken, here's what Hank Williams did with it. He did start with a G7 to C for an intro. Then he played the song through all the way, AABA. Then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he then had the musicians play on section B and A. Then he went back and he did the whole AABA section again. Usually, it goes without saying, if you're playing an AABA song with someone, that they're going to keep doing it in order. AABA. And then if we repeat it, AABA. Anything else would be an arrangement of the song. As a matter of fact, again, I think of Yesterday. I believe Yesterday does AABABA. Same holds true for Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley, the way he did it. It's an AABA song, but he goes AABABA. Now, once we have an understanding of these sections, A and B, it's easier to relate to other musicians on how you might want to do it. You might say, okay, let's do the complete AABA section, but like Hank Williams, let's let the band solo on B and A, and then we'll go back and repeat the whole form again. So that's another aspect of understanding the symmetry of how this music works. But if you understand this and you start studying some standards, again, especially music of what they call the Great American Songbook, you're going to find this repeated over and over again because it works. And if you want to write a song, this is a good framework to begin with, AABA form. So until next time, you think on that, and you can check out some other people talking about that. I'm Bob Piorun. You can see me on Facebook, Piorun. I have a couple of books on guitar and a book on electric bass. I've been teaching over 50 years, so some of the methods here have been proven by using them to teach people for 52 years. So I hope this helps you out. Thank you.